Sean is here from Hog Island Oyster Company, and asked him to talk a little bit about their story at Hog Island and this idea of standing out in a crowd. I think Skip, what did you say, 70 varieties right now?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
so thank you, Sean.
Yep.
All right. So one, I'd just like to say to Skip's point too, I've definitely been turned around on my thoughts of Southern oysters. Last time I was down in the Gulf was probably about 10 years ago, before I took this trip back in October for South. And my perception of Southern oysters were big, flabby, kind of tasteless, the dredged oysters out there. And just seeing what is in that, you guys were serving last night and what I've been able to try at Landwalk and stuff, complete 180, like, product is amazing. The quality, everything, I think, has just really come up, and it's great to see, and I just want to say keep up the great work. So, a little bit about Hog Island. We started back in 1983. It was 3 marine biologists, 2 guys from the East Coast. They all got together and started out the Hog Island out in Tomales Bay, California. They definitely had some hard times. There was about a time there that they were really going to go under, and they were really questioning what they were doing and if it was all going to actually work out. They got some support from other growers up in Washington, and then actually a lot of wineries around us as well really stepped in. Like, hey, we really like your quality product. We want to see you guys out on the market more. It really helped us, like, had us shucking at their crush parties, and really just kind of got us out there on the market, and we're big support. So, I mean, from that, everything just kind of started to grow. And what I think really boosted us was we opened up a restaurant in downtown San Francisco in the Ferry Building. And that really blew up for us. It's 15 years this year that place has been open. And I think that just took off, and that was gangbusters for us. One, kind of like my underlying theme here is know who's shucking your product, know who's getting your product, because that's huge. Because I think how it's represented on the market can really change, be good for you or be bad for you, depending on the quality of your shucker, how people can actually explain it, the education of the people serving your oysters as well. This is why you don't let other people put your slides together. But, so a little bit about me. I started with you guys about 14 years ago, started bussing tables. Working in restaurants was kind of always what I did, so you name it, I could do it, and I desperately needed a job, so these guys hired me as a busboy. Slowly started shucking oysters, did that for about 8 years, and was doing a lot of the purchasing. And then for about now 5 years, I've been running our wholesale department, doing all the buying and selling. At Hog Island, as an oyster farm, we produce about 3 million. We were shooting for about 3.5 this year, but I don't think we got there. But as a company, we sell close to about 8 million oysters. We're buying a lot from other farms. A lot out of Washington State. We do with Island Creek quite a bit. So yeah. And then this is just a little bit of what I'm looking for in product, or what we're looking for as a company, and just dealing with other growers. So one is shell quality. Basically, I feel like it has to be shuckable all around. I know we have people who are going through the bill, people who are going through the hinge and whatnot. You need a nice, strong, sturdy oyster, and I don't think you should be telling your shucker how to shuck it. You shouldn't tell them, no, you have to go through the bill because the hinge is breaking out. It has a lot to do with like the boring sponge and stuff that we get from the East Coast. There's a lot of growers that I've had to stop buying from, is one, because they're not pulling the oysters out of the water, get rid of that boring sponge. We're destroying those hinges, and we're throwing away more oysters than we can actually sell. We're basically shucking 5 to get 1. So, that's one thing that's really going to hinder sales. I threw this picture up here. This is actually one of our products that I was really pissed off at. This is something that we grew. I went into the tank with the gaff hook, and it went directly through the oyster. Very poor shell quality. That thing would just crumble in your hand. And that's not what you want. You're going to get shuckers stabbing themselves, and eventually they're going to stop buying from it. Basically, what we're looking for, on the West Coast, we're hinge shuckers. So we want, a nice hinge there. You can see You know, the separation right there, it's easy for the guys to get in. It's a strong, sturdy shell. That top part's not gonna break off on you, and it just makes it for an easier shucking. Meat quality. Now, I don't really think you guys have that big of a problem down here from what I've seen. I haven't really come across any of these water bags. This is actually one of our oysters as well. This was picked out on the harvest. I was there on the line shucking it, and it was basically, I told the guys we had to toss them all back. There's no way that, you know, I would want to sell anything like that. You're not helping yourself out. You know, if you're just trying to sell to make the sale, it's not going to help you out. That's just going to look bad for you, and you're going to have a lot of turned off customers. Something like this, you know, beautiful meat, nice and plump, almost popping out of the shell. And again, I really feel a lot of your guys' oysters actually do look like that. There seems to be abundance of food in your guys' water, so I don't really feel like that's a problem. But kind of what I feel like I'm getting at here is making those hard decisions and being like, hey, this is a sub-poor quality product. I don't want it on the market. I don't want it to represent us. Being able to say, hey guys, you need to toss it back, either find another area, or maybe I'm not making sales with our oysters this week. I really feel you don't do yourself justice putting a poor quality product on the market just to get something on the market. So diversity. This is the really cool part. It goes a little bit with what Skip was saying too, is working together. You know, I feel there's room for all of us at the plate, because what people really want is diversity. They don't want the same oyster over and over again. I know the theme is a lot of people do come in and ask for locals, but I would say for the 15 years that our oyster bar has been operating, the number one seller is the mixed dozen. Everybody wants a little something different and different flavors. And I mean, again, this goes back to who's shucking it and serving your product, because you can really educate people and teach people. And I think there's some amazing things going on here, like just one point, like the Murder Points and Point of Pines. They're growing 200 yards away from each other. And I think those two oysters taste drastically different. And putting those on a plate, serving those to customers, and being able to talk to them and tell them, you know, okay, this is why this one's tasting like this grower is doing this method. And it really creates that experience for the customer. And I feel more and more that's what people want. You know, it's the whole farm to table, but also creating the story and really giving them those differences. I mean, it's the old adage I always say, oysters are like wine, you know. There's something for everyone. There's so many different tastes and there's so much out there. I don't think there is the best oyster, or, you know, this one is gonna reign above them all. I think there's room for them all on there, as long as it's a great quality product, and, you know, you talk about it, and you just teach people the different flavors that oysters have, and, you know, the diversity is, you know, the miroir. And the next, what I really think is a big thing is telling your story. Is really getting, you know, a lot of these are, you know, small family farms that are starting off, and people want to hear that story. They want to know it's a father and son. They want to know that this has been in the family for years. They really want to hear those stories and get to know the farmer more, because it just creates more of that experience on the plate for them. And social media is huge too. I'm not a big fan of it, but it does wonders for people. Facebook, Instagram. I really think it really helps get your story out there. People get into it, they start researching it, and then, you know, they're going into oyster bars asking for your product. You know, I think Island Creek has a great story. This is John and Terry, two guys who helped start Hog Island. Another one on the West Coast, Chelsea Farms, has a great story. But the other thing you have to be worried about, and why I always say, know who's shucking your oysters and who's getting them. And I know it's hard if you're going through a wholesaler. We are our own wholesaler, kind of like Island Creek, so we do direct to everyone. So I'm in direct conversation with who's shucking our oysters and how they're being presented. And actually, I go in and I'll check up on them and stuff too, to make sure that it is being presented quality. Because if you get some nasty shucking like that, and people will start throwing it on Instagram, and your name's tagged on that, they're going to associate that gross-looking oyster with your company and your product. They're not going to. Most people don't understand that that person just didn't know how to shuck an oyster. You know, and it's the whole visual effect that really does turn people off. So again, I really think one of the big things is knowing who has your product, how it's being represented, and educating those people. I really think we have come a long way, but there's still a a lot we can do with educating and teaching people. Just, I mean, with all the stories that are out there now too, you know, there's the flesh-eating virus, oyster, and stuff like that. I really feel like us being on the front lines, we need to teach these people and educate them. You know, that no, this is kind of bull crap, or teach them more about what you guys are doing. And that's where I really feel we can help out. I want to start bringing a lot more southern oysters to the West Coast as well, because I really think that, again, there's room for us all on the plate. We could all work together and basically make this happen. Any questions?
Questions for Sean?
How do you transport, what are you using to get oysters from the East Coast to the West Coast?
Mostly, my favorite method would be air freight. I'm a big fan of Southwest. I think they're the easiest to deal with, and they do give me better rates.
We don't have in our area.
But no, I mean, we deal with Delta, United, a bunch of others. I just like Southwest because they're the easiest to pick up and drop off. FedEx, we don't have the best relationship with FedEx. Island Creek has a really good one. They get a good rate. Ours is kind of through the roof, so I tend to avoid that. Where I really want to work it is, I need to find couriers in these major cities, and I really think that could do wonders for a lot of people. Is if you can get that, throw a few boxes on a flight, courier comes by, picks it up, and can distribute that to other restaurants for you. Would be major. You're still distributing it yourself. You know who exactly is getting it, and you can keep it at a cheaper price.
If you have a relationship with a farm on the East Coast, do you set up the shipping, or is that farm responsible for the shipping aspect?
Generally, it's on them. We'll discuss if they have been shipping or doing anything like that. I can generally put them on our account and make things easier for it, but I mean, the dropping and all that stuff is from the East Coast farm. We need them to at least get it to the airport.
And is there an expectation that that farm is able to supply you 52 weeks of the year, or do you have
No,
farms
not
that
at all.
come in and out of the market?
This again goes in with the conversations that I have when we are approaching a new farm. Is one, what is your supply like? What do you think you could do? I generally would throw out, hey, let's see, could you do 1,200 pieces a week? Something like that, start small. And I don't expect you, it doesn't have to be 52 weeks out of the year. Again, that goes with the diversity. I like to switch it up, you know, keep new things rolling in. We will always go back to them, but, you know, it doesn't have to be the same oyster every week.
How do you confirm cold chain?
One more time?
What's your cold chain confirmation?
Um,
Because you're putting it in a box, and sometimes they get there a day late, or
True. Well, we do temp loggers, and
In
I
every
make
box?
sure. What's that?
in every box.
Yeah. Everything is shipped. So basically, I make the guys aware that we are shipping to check the temp logger to make sure it's okay. I mean, to be quite honest, Southwest does an amazing job. Most of the stuff usually gets there within a day or two.
Just to comment on that, Sean, we've never had a box coming in from Hama, Island Creek, or Hog Island via Southwest that showed up a day late. Most of the time, they ship in the morning and they're there that night.
Yeah, so that's great, but even, I mean, we throw so many gel packs in it, I know our stuff's lasting is 3 days.
And there's a walk-in at the terminal.
That's also why we deal with Southwest.
Do you have a standard price point that you're paying, or is it on a scale?
It kind of fluctuates. Again, I want to work with the farmer, and I want to make, it has to work for you and it has to work for us. Generally, right now, what we're paying is about 65 cents an oyster, and then plus freight. But I mean, it can scale. We tier our pricing to go along with different oysters that we bring in. So if we are bringing in something that's a little bit higher price, we'll just have to raise the price on it. Like I said, our mixed dozen's our biggest seller. That's our highest priced plate. Everything goes on the mixed dozen.
How much is your mixed dozen?
That's a good question. We just raised prices. I want to say something like, I think it's like $64 to $24. Maybe a little bit more. I'm not far removed from our restaurant.
Yes, I guess, if you're in the Gulf of Mexico, you're gonna have to be outside of that, is it April through October?
Well, this is what I'm struggling with right now. In California, we have this crazy law that we want to bring in Gulf Coast oysters, we have to put a warning on it, either the menu or a tank card.
You have to have that on your menu anyhow.
You have to, but it's a different warning. So we have to do one specifically for Gulf Coast oysters, and again, this is only California State, we're amazing. Basically, it has to say, consuming raw oysters from the Gulf of Mexico may cause death if you have liver disease. There's some others there. It has to be 10-point font, which is bigger than any writing on your menu. It has to be in both English and Spanish. It has to be very visible. I'm playing around with it. I'm trying to do it
I
much
thought they were
slower.
banned, I didn't think you could sell them during that time of year.
If you want to do it during, I believe it is April, September, it has to be a treated Gulf oyster. So the flash pasteurized or the gold band guys would be the only ones you could sell.
But even in the wintertime, you have to have that.
All year round, you have to put that warning out there. So I'm kind of struggling with that, but I'm pushing forward to make it
That wouldn't
happen.
be true for the Carolinas or Georgia.
No. So again, that's might be an easy start there for us, but I want to push forward and make it happen.
Feature them on your on the edge menu, living on the edge.
No, exactly. That's where I wanted to do. I proposed to put a little skull and crossbones as a legend. I see a lot of people getting into it, but we'll see. We can make it happen. I mean, we brought in the murder points for a few weeks, and I was surprised. They flew off the shelves. People were really happy. So there is, West Coasters do want a southern oyster, and they will eat it.
Yeah, just a quick comment on that. I mean, obviously that's not a great marketing ploy to put this could kill you on your menu, but frankly, we don't want people with liver disease eating raw oysters. So, it's a very delicate line, but they shouldn't be eating any raw products,
But I think this is a society we're in, having too many antacids and everyone going out and drinking too much. I think a lot of them are susceptible.
Both Sean and Skip, I'm just curious, so you guys have companies that are big names. When people talk about oyster farms, your names come up. But obviously, you guys both expanded into businesses that are restaurants and wholesale. And so, how much of your fame or your reputation do you think is because of the things that the wholesale and the restaurant versus the farm?
I would say I feel a lot of the fame came from the restaurant. I think putting more of that perspective and that name of the place there, and then from that we had the opportunity to invite people up to the farm and get them to experience that. But I would say foot traffic, majority of people, that place is very good. That's what blew us up, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I think we were real early on the brands out alongside Moonstone out on the East Coast, and I think that was, we got a lot of recognition because of that. But definitely, I always say that the one thing I would never do again if I went back and started over is the restaurants. By far the biggest anxiety, but at the same time I do, being honest, I have to say that we grew leaps and bounds in terms of recognition with the restaurant.
All right, well, thank you guys.